start to move.
Okay. Now, do we get to see their pictures?
No, we don't get to see their pictures, but under the participants window, you'll see a list of everybody who's coming on. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll get started in a minute or two. Oh boy, we're getting a good sized crowd here.
Awesome. That's great. And if that crowd could start typing in the chat on where you're from and a little bit maybe on why you joined. So Winter Garden, awesome. Thank you for joining. What else we got? Orlando, Jacksonville, Columbus, Ohio, awesome. Baldwin Park. I don't know where Baldwin Park is. Is that in Florida? We got Philly. Awesome. More Orlando. Lake Helen. That's a beautiful place. Please turn on the transcript.
Just did that. Perfect.
You got it on?
Yes, just did.
Okay, great. Claremont. Product I'm inventing and planning on bringing to market. That is awesome, Jesse. And hopefully this will be helpful to you. Howell, Michigan. Wow. I went to high school up in Interlochen in Traverse City. Portland, Oregon. That's a beautiful city. Long Island. All right, Kenny. What is it, lacrosse or wrestling? Everyone from Long Island seems to be associated with one of those two. Not really. That's my perception. All right, we'll get going in another 30 seconds or so. Does that sound right, Barry?
I think that sounds good.
All right, a nonprofit need assistance. Okay. Thank you, Pamela. And, any help on that, including, after the session, you've got questions or thoughts or anything, feel free to contact me. As you can see on the front slide, it has my SCORE volunteer email. And I'm gonna get going, if that's okay, Barry. Okay for me to get going here?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
All right. So we're going to talk about the elevator pitch and why it's really important in your past success, frankly, regardless of what you're doing, but especially, for new business, whether you're nonprofit or for-profit, it actually fits any kind of business. And we're going to talk a little bit about what it is and why it's important and some tools on how to create it. And I hope you'll find that successful for you. So, a few words about SCORE. We're a national nonprofit organization. You probably know that. It's all volunteer. And we give free small business advice. We help clients start, grow, and we're focused on helping you achieve your goals. We make it very personal. We got volunteer experts like Barry and I. Barry's on with me. Thank you, Barry. Business advisors who are mentors to you. We're mostly retired executives. A few of us that tried retirement, failed 3 times, but I still do a lot with SCORE, even though I failed 3 times, so I still work. And we're a resource, not only mentoring, but online workshops and templates and tools and various things. There's 11,000 of us nationally, and we're a small resource and associated with the SBA. So check us out, check us out if you want, it would be great. And, you can find a mentor there, you can take a workshop there, you can browse the library there. So real quick overview on me. Like I said, I tried retiring 3 times. I failed, so I now teach full-time at one university, University of Kentucky online, and I teach at University of Indianapolis. I teach all subjects in the MBA program. I had a very lucky career. I'll say a successful career. I had global responsibilities at Johnson & Johnson, Armstrong World Industries, which is floors and tiles, and Standard Industries. You might not know them by that name, but they have become the largest roofing manufacturer in the world. And I was an entrepreneur before all that, started multiple companies and have been very active in various philanthropies, and including spending 4 years in Africa building building orphanages and schools, whatever. So let's agree, right? This is for you today, right? I want to make sure it's successful for you. So tell me actually in the chat box if you'd agree that tonight would be successful if you gain some insights and some tools, maybe even start a draft of your elevator pitch, and you understand why it's important to have a great elevator pitch. You get some insights into good versus great communications. I mean, we all know what bad looks like, but good versus great. Some tools so you can create your own elevator pitch, a template to do that, and sort of quick demonstration using me as a demonstrator of building an elevator pitch. So I hope you'd agree, chat on the site, and if you've got any other issues, let me know. But if we can accomplish that, would this be successful for you? And I'm seeing someone can't see the slide. Can most of you see the slide, or can none of you see the slide? Okay. You can see the slide. Awesome. And this sounds good. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. And it sounds good in terms of these objectives, right? That would be success for you. Super. Okay. Well, let's get going. Now, what's the big deal? Now, is an elevator pitch overrated? Well, it depends how you look at it. All right. The average human attention span in the year 2000 was 12 seconds. It dropped to 2022, it dropped to 8 seconds. And, I guess that's because of all the cable news and everything we've got going on. And supposedly the tests show that a goldfish, it's 9 seconds. So easy to keep attention of a goldfish, I guess. So the key of what we're trying to do here, our job as entrepreneurs, small business people, is to think chess, right? Think all the complications of everything going on, but people don't care about all the complications and what's going on. They care about the essence, what's really important to them. So think chess and communicate checkers. Einstein said, look, if you can't explain it simply, you probably don't understand it well enough. And that's so true. So many people go on and on, especially new business people. You're so excited about your project. You're so excited about what you're trying to do. And it's like a constant flow coming out of a fire hydrant. So here would be an example of a 5-second elevator pitch. This goes back a long way, but how many of you remember? It absolutely, positively has to be there overnight. Who is that for? Most of you remember that? Yeah, FedEx. But notice one of the things that says, and that does, you immediately get it. By the way, Pamela and Jackie, you don't realize how old that slogan was a long time, but we still remember it. But think of how effective it was. It wasn't just effective with customers dealing, what's the experience they're trying to gain and what they're afraid of. The package won't get there, and it's really important. It works with employees because they now know, what are we rallying around? What do we need to do? What do we need to focus on? And even focus on suppliers. So one of the neat things about that quick little 5-second elevator pitch, it works, it shares an entire story and a message for multiple constituencies and can be used in multiple ways. All right, another one. Who can identify this company? The ultimate driving machine. Yeah, exactly. BMW. And again, notice how it works not only with customers, that's what they want, the ultimate. It works with employees, because you're talking about quality improvement and driving value and all those things. It works with suppliers. That simple message, that elevator pitch, it says a ton. An elevator pitch creates an entire picture, an entire set of experiences when it's well done. And that's why they're compelling, right? Now, a key in communication is, again, think chess, but communicate checkers. That means use the KISS principle. You remember what the KISS principle was? Looking, anyone there in the chat room? Come on, the KISS principle is keep it simple, stupid. Don't smother people with information. They say that a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. And the way I share it, if this makes to you, eliminate the vampire information. And what's the vampire information? It's information you may find interesting and you think it's a neat detail and you love talking about it, but it sucks the blood away from really it's important, the gold in your message, right? So share the gold, share the checkers, share what's important. Eliminate the vampires. So to build great communications, I want to share and have you share some lessons learned. I'm going to share the first one, see if you can relate to this. Think back to dating in high school, where I first learned a lot about relationships. Now, what some of us forgot is how what we learned applies to business, but it really does. So here's an example. Think about what was the biggest obstacle to getting a date? What, for a lot of people still today, what's the biggest obstacle to getting a date? I don't know about for you, but for me, the biggest obstacle was asking. Did anyone else have that experience or witness that experience? The biggest obstacle, we learned this in high schools, we're learning about relationships, we're learning about decision-making. Biggest obstacle was asking. Is that right? Anyone agree with that in the chat room? Is that right? All right. The key is, what's the implication from that? It's a really important one. The obstacle is asking. When you study why, the reason why is people in general are wired. We are wired as individuals to avoid an experience we don't want. And we put more emphasis, most people, on avoiding as a priority experience we don't want. And then secondarily, if we can avoid it, then have an experience we do want. Right? Right. People are embarrassed to ask. Their fear of rejection. In fact, mathematically, Stanford did some market research on this and found it's a 2.1 ratio for more people. In other words, a benefit has to have a value multiplied by 2.1 just to equal why people make decisions on avoidance. So the key thing is, most companies haven't figured this out, but the world-class ones have. If it was obvious, everyone would be doing it. But Procter & Gamble figured it out. Johnson & Johnson figured it out. Microsoft figured it out. You watch most of how they go to market and their elevator presentations and their advertising and everything they do, it's first, what's the experience I want to avoid? And then CJ, as you said, and then gain. But it's risk first, reward second for most people. A, B, and it's emotional. All right, let's try another one and see what we can learn from this, help our communications. I want you to think about the store that you shop at most. I want you to picture it in your mind and then write in the chat room, write down, why do you shop there? Right? I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do that. Think about a store that you shop at most. Picture that store in your mind. I want you to write down what the store is, by the way, Erica. Why do you shop there? And write down first the store and why do you shop there? Ha! Like some of these are fun. Okay. Okay, we can stop now. That's good because you helped me make my point, and I want to show you what the point is because it's important to you in everything you do. I didn't ask you about any store. I said the store that you shop at most. And I said, write down, why do you shop there? And I want you to notice something in almost all the responses. Almost. Now, tell me if this isn't also true. You've seen advertising for the store. You've seen signage. You've seen lots of things in that store. You maybe even talk to people. It's a store you shop at most. You've been there a lot of times. It's not like any store. Frankly, your business probably isn't going to be the one they are at most and know the most. And even the ones you notice the most, here's what I want you to notice, right? Here's what I want you to notice. Very interesting. One, most of you mentioned at most 3 things. You summarized it down to 3 things. 2, notice that none of them were absolute facts. They were opinions, and they are emotional opinions. These are things you feel about. It's the what's in it for me, the what, WIIFM. What's in it for me? And you're going to wonder, why is it the stores we shop at absolutely most? And on the first question, why do you shop there? Almost every answer is at most 3 things, often less. And 2, they're opinions, not facts. Let me share you what psychiatrists say the reason is, but it's important. It's got to be important for you. The reason is, when it's an opinion, our experience, remember, we're wired to avoid experiences we don't want. When it's an opinion, we have a right to an opinion, but when it's a fact, we might be proven wrong, which is why the human brain, most of us, summarizes our decision. We can back it up with selective facts. We focus on 2 or 3 things, opinions. What's the implication for you? The implication for you is, hey, for us in business, our comfort zone are the facts, but the customer's comfort zone, or the employees we're dealing with when we share things with them, their comfort zone is opinions. So world class is understanding there's a break. Our comfort zone is facts. Their comfort zone is opinions. To be world class, we got to focus on 1 or 2, 3 key opinions and support those with facts. And when someone defends their opinion, they generally pull up a few facts. So in communication, it means avoid orphan facts. An orphan fact is a fact that's stated, but without the why. And that's important in key communications, about the why. All right, let's try another one. I want you to write down any experience that you had in the last year, any experience, and write down what it was. You write down, give you 20, 30 seconds, put in the chat room, any experience you've had in the last year, and what was it? All right? Write those down. Give you 20 seconds. Ooh, got married. Congratulations, Nancy. Hiking, amazing park. Paddleboarding, fantastic. Oh, I'm sorry, Rick. That's awful, but I get it. Beautiful marriage. Went fishing for the first time. Death of a mother. Car purchase at Cruise United. Okay. And again, what's the point? What am I trying to share here? All right. Here's what I want you to notice about almost every response. Almost every, all I asked was any experience. But notice how we're wired. We're wired to remember what is not typical in our life. We're wired to remember something that's not an everyday experience and often is unexpected. So what's the implication? Well, if people typically remember what they don't expect, and therefore have a surprise, have something they wouldn't expect, in your presentation, in anything you share, because they're more likely to remember the entire thing. Right? Share an unexpected fact. I'll give an example. I've done speaking in business for years and years and years. And for years, I used to weave in a major presentation somewhere in it that, by the way, when I was age 15 to 19, I was the studio drummer for Ted Nugent, basically because I could read music that way. 25 years later, people run into me. I remember seeing you speak, Dave, and you talked about this and this and this. And weren't you didn't you play with Ted Nugent? Think of something they wouldn't expect, build it in. And they're more likely to remember the entire presentation, right? People remember surprises. People remember what they don't expect. Important in what you do. All right. I've got a hypothesis that I want you to test. And I believe that if you observe it, and if you do this, what I'm going to ask you to do, it'll be a life-changing experience for you and affect everything you do in business and possibly your personal life, which is a huge promise. But I've done this with over 5,000 MBA students, so I'm pretty sure it works pretty well. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to eavesdrop on a bunch of conversations. I want you to eavesdrop on conversations at home, work, family, wherever it is. I want you to eavesdrop. Here's my hypothesis. What you're going to hear are 5 things, which, by the way, these 5 things are the only causes of anything good or bad to happen. So as a business person, it's always good to look for those 5 things to see if there's anything you missed. There's only 5 things that cause anything good or bad to happen. And that's what you're going to hear. What you're not going to hear is the key to both trust and insight. I'm going to show you what I mean. When you eavesdrop, you're going to hear some combination of who did it, what happened, when it happened, where it happened, and how it happened. You know what you're probably not going to hear? Here's why. It's bizarre. It's shocking. We all think we do explain why. What's incredible is we usually don't. What's the implication of that? Oh, when the why is what actually increases trust. You learn that if you ever had a 5-year-old kid. You tell a kid what to do and don't tell them why. It can be the most nicest way in the world, but when you turn the back, I don't know if they're going to be doing it. When you explain why, you get at least better odds. With an adult, when you don't explain why, trust drops. Why? Because the recipe for trust is care and respect. Think about it. People don't generally listen closely to people who don't demonstrate care and respect. So the why is critical. And what's bizarre, it's rarely used. So if you can train yourself to unwire the normal way the brain works and train yourself to explain why, you'll be more successful in business and relationships. Because why is the key understanding. It's what creates insight. And why is key to trust. Therefore, practice sharing your whys and don't let facts be orphans. Attach your facts to why. The opinions, especially, that you hope they walk away with. All right, so far, we build an elevator pitch, some of the things we've learned so far. 1, what's the motivation for most decisions? Most decisions are, first, avoiding experience we don't want, and then generating an opportunity for gain. Right? Combination of both. If you notice, most Procter & Gamble ads, for example, start with, do you want to deal with this? And most Johnson & Johnson, do you really want to deal with this? And most really want to deal with this, and they show they can solve it and then offer something. Most of them. The point is the brain reacts to avoiding an experience we don't want. First. Two, what's the criteria for decisions? We summarize to a few key opinions. And try it. Ask someone why they purchased something when you're at a barbecue. They're probably going to give you 3 major things. It's an opinion. If you push harder, they may come back with some selected facts. Well, opinions, insight is the criteria, and likely it's a bit emotional. 3, people remember what they don't expect. So have something they don't expect. And share the cause, but don't let the cause be an orphan. There's 5 causes of anything good or bad to happen. And a good presentation or good messaging in business is there a who involved that might create a risk or benefit? Is there a what involved that might avoid a risk, create embarrassment? Is there a when? Is there a where? Is there a how? Hit the why hard. Why? That's where the insight comes from. And why? That drives trust. And trust is always going up and down. Does that make sense so far before I go on? This is helpful with building a foundation. Awesome, no. Thank you. That's great. I appreciate it. All right. Let's see where this takes us. What goes into developing an elevator pitch? And frankly, it generally doesn't come all at once. It's an iterative. You just keep trying over and over and over, but think of it like a big funnel. Okay? You start off the funnel and you ask yourself, what in whatever you're doing, service or product, what do people expect now from the products and services they're getting that are somewhat similar? Here's the catch. What most entrepreneurs and small business do is they jump right into what makes you special. And that's a mistake because that's not how the brain typically works. So here's an example, an analogy. If you've ever been on the receiving end of resumes, you know that if you got 30, 40, 50 resumes, you don't read them all. You don't read all the resumes. You scan them to see which ones you're going to focus on. So if you got 50 resumes, most people will put 40 in one pile, and then the 10, those are the ones they're going to focus on more closely. What does this say about the decision-making process? Very key. A lot of people in business miss this. People rule you out before they rule you in. Share that again. They look for reasons to rule you out before they rule you in. In other words, they try to make their decision process simpler. And the more options available, the more complexity. So the brain, the motivation is, I want to reduce the amount of options I'm looking at. So what does that mean? You have to check the boxes. Here's the major things they expect before you get into, here's what makes us different. What makes acceptable comes first. So you study, your business in whatever you're doing. What do they expect? The second phase is, okay, if you can deliver first what they expect, now you get a chance to play in the game. Now the key is, what wouldn't they expect? That's important. What wouldn't they expect? And there's always something you can come up with. Sometimes you got to be pretty creative, but it's what they don't expect and that they think is important is where you make your money. Otherwise, you're a commodity. You're acceptable. And whenever you're competing as a commodity, you're similar to everybody else in every way. You're generally not going to make as much money, and it's going to be difficult to raise any money if you're trying to raise it. People buy on first, what I expected. Okay, I'm going to consider them. Two, whoa, I didn't expect that. Third part of the elevator pitch is, well, who's this for? And where do you offer it? And why should I do it now? Or do I fit? And draft it, test it, and keep trying different versions of that same funnel. And Nicole, I am definitely going to give you some examples tonight. Definitely going to give you some examples. Right? So what's the purpose of an elevator pitch? The purpose is generally not to make the sale. The purpose is to describe a situation that they can picture themselves in and a solution to that situation that is so compelling that the person that you are with wants to hear even more after that short little bit of time together. That's its purpose. It's sort of the same, which a lot of people don't realize, with a cover letter and a resume. The purpose of a cover letter and resume is not to make the sale. The purpose is to get through the screening process so they're actually talking to you. The mistake people make is they try to make the sale in the elevator pitch versus I'm just trying to get to the next step. And the next step is dependent on them gaining interest. And what does it take to gain interest? First, they need to trust you. We don't listen closely to people we don't trust. I consider the recipe for trust, care, and respect. And I've learned care and respect comes from a lot of things, but a big part of it is the questions you ask in a way that demonstrates you really care about them. Yeah, integrity, but it's the action. Integrity is a outcome. It's the action. What do you do? We tend to depend on people we trust. We tend to trust people that we like, respect us, and care about us, and make us feel safe. Remember, we want to avoid experiences we don't want. All right. I'm going to show you an example. And, again, I will show you, Nicole, as I said later, I'm going to give more examples and build them, but let's just share one example. This was an elevator pitch done in 2009 to get initial interest so they could get in front of financial people to make an investment. So here's what it said. They said, look, most tourists will book it online, care about price. And hotels, one of the highest costs when you're traveling. On the other hand, there's a platform, small one called Couchsurfing. They've proven that over 500,000 people are willing to lend their couches for a spare bedroom. So we saw that and we said, you know what? We've created this comprehensive platform that connects travelers with locals, letting them rent our rooms or even our entire homes. Travelers are going to save money and locals can monetize their empty rooms or homes. We just take 10% commission. And Melba, you're exactly right. This was Airbnb. You can see why it's not trying to make the total sale, it's to gain interest so they can sit down in a more comprehensive conversation because investors see lots of opportunities to invest. They're overwhelmed. This cuts right through it. Does that make sense? Is that helpful? Notice how they even positioned it. This is what people expect, but this is what's not available. This is why it works. Good so far? All right. I want to step back again so we can really nail this, right? Already shared. The customer's journey, if you get into their head and how, frankly, most of us subconsciously or consciously do this, the first stage in their journey is, hey, is this acceptable if I'm even looking for it? Is this something I was looking for? And by the way, does it meet my minimal expectations? Does it meet my need? Does it meet my want? Do I rule them in as one of the investments or companies or service or products that I want to consider? That's stage one. Stage two, grabbing their interest. Something unexpected. Something that's a surprise, which then leads to, here's our difference. We not only deliver what you expected, but based on this thing that you found interesting, here's the difference. The difference is unique. And often it's how you're going to reduce or eliminate a problem or risk, and how you're going to increase and generate more gain and trust. And yes, we are doing a recording of this entire session, and Barry plans on making it available to you within a couple of days. Is that right, Barry? You're still there?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, awesome. So we get to the difference, right? That's the key. The difference, first you're going to be in the game. You're then going to grab their interest. Their interest drives how you're different. It's important to them. And then ideally action. Why should they take now, or what's your promise to them? And yes, it'll include the slides. All right. So I'm going to give you an example, right? I'm going to give you an example. So here's a template in the way I've approached a lot of new products and services that I've launched in my lifetime. And I've been fortunate. I've launched a lot of them. So in taking what we've just said, right, I first fill it, I look at different categories of products and services. And I start with, okay, what's the customer's situation and their expected solution? Be acceptable. I write them in. And I say, okay, what don't they expect? It's pretty unique. That both grabs their interest, and then, well, how can I do it differently and deliver it? Then who's it for? Then why act now? What next steps? And then I measure it. Now, what I've found in measuring, you see in the bottom, it doesn't matter whether I was dealing with a $5 product or $1 million product and service. The wider the gap, the wider you stretch on the one hand, based on their situation, you deliver both what they expect, but also on the other spectrum, you're perceived as unique in delivering a solution that's important to them. Let me give you an example. If you owned a mouthwash, you'd want to own probably Listerine. They get the highest price and they sell the most of it. Let's think about what Listerine did, right? For a mouthwash, right? You're going to get clean breath. But we even kill, I remember going way back, halitosis. I know I didn't know what halitosis was, but I knew I didn't want it. Unique. Okay, we're a mouthwash, but it also kills halitosis. You know how wide that gap is. Got the most money, most interest. Then when halitosis wore off, and it was gingivitis. Didn't know what gingivitis was, but I knew I didn't want it. So even on a $5 product, what they expect, and then what they didn't expect. That's value. Wider that gap, the more money. So let me show you an example that actually I led the team and did this. We were looking at all sorts of categories in grocery stores for Johnson & Johnson, the health and beauty aisle. We tested everything, right? And one of them we looked at was toothbrushes. We said, what do they expect? Well, they expect a toothbrush to help prevent cavities and have healthy gums. So, okay, what wouldn't they expect? That might grab their interest and difference. Hey, most cavities are on the back teeth. Who's it for? The entire family. Why now? Because it's on sale. Okay. And after lots of iteration and lots of products, we focused on this. In other words, did the chess, this got it to checkers. And then we turned it into an elevator, right? It's expected. Hey, is it important to you that your family brush their teeth every day to help prevent gum disease and cavities? Well, surprisingly, those cavities are on the hard to reach back teeth. Reach results in 51% cleaner teeth, and it's certified by the American Dental Association. Reach has these bi-level bristles that remove the debris under the gums, and it's even angled like a dental instrument to prevent cavities where they are most common. Those hard to reach back teeth. Reach toothbrush, it's on sale now, going to protect your family from gum disease and help prevent cavities with Reach. That simple concept, when we first told the CEO of Johnson & Johnson, we want to go in the toothbrush business, thought we were crazy. Toothbrushes were $4 for $1. We were selling this toothbrush for over $1.25. This is years ago, and it cost us 11 cents to make. Plus, we made it in Puerto Rico and signed a 10-year deal. We'd never have to pay taxes federally or state for 10 years. That's what drove the concept. That's how we got there. That's how you can get there. It's a pretty simple concept. Does that make sense? Did that help demonstrate using this technique? It's not that complex. Easy. All right. Well, let me continue from there. All right. Yes, I can extrapolate it to arts at another time, but probably not today. All right, but I can do that because my brother is a concert violinist and concert chair of a few different orchestras. My sister is in the Canadian National Symphony, so I can do that. It's just not going to come to mind, and I'm not prepared for this presentation because I've only got so much time. But CJ, feel free to contact me directly. All right. All right. So I want to bring it to a little bit more effective way. And this was one of my secret sauce, right? I'm embarrassed. Sometimes I'm embarrassed I did as well as I did because most of what I did was so darn simple, right? But one of them was this. So having come out of Johnson & Johnson, I came out believing, still do to this day, trust is your biggest asset, both personally and professionally, and in all communications, right? And I noticed that when we tell things, it's even with the people we trust the most, even with my wife, my kids, when I tell them something, they're less likely to trust the information than when I share it. I'm going to come up with a way of how do I communicate the most important things, but share it instead of tell it. And I studied a lot of world-class approaches, and I came up with, I'm suggesting you try using it, the steady concept. And here's why. Information that's told, generally people are skeptical. Information that's shared tends to be slightly more trusted. So I try to use the steady model to find something I can say, not necessarily every one of these, some combination of them, I can share the message. Give you an example. Statistics. 9 out of 10 hospitals use Tylenol for pain relief. Why would you trust your family's health to anybody else? See how that, if they had just said man, we're the best pain reliever and hospitals use us. No, 9 out of 10. Statistics gives it more credibility. A testimonial, hearing someone say it. I ate at Subway every day. And look at me now. And if it wasn't for my interest in little kids, I'd still be famous and make a ton of money. But that's a whole nother story. That came later. All right. 3, expert opinion. What an expert said. Crest has the official seal of approval of the American Dental Association. Well, back then, that was a big deal. What did an expert say? The government or scientists, whatever. 4th one, frankly, one of my favorites to use is analogies. Example, it's sort of like these scrubbing bubbles that are cleaning inside your toilet for you. Here's why I love analogies. Remember, we know people are wired to be risk avoiding. What an analogy says is, you know that thing you're a little skeptical about? Well, it's very similar to this. And since it's similar, it drops the risk. Analogies have an effect of dropping perceived risk. It's simple. You've dealt with this before. Demonstration. The first blade pulls the whisker back. The second one does this. We're already up to 5 blades. Demonstrating. And something you said, or I know you're thinking. Right? Example, you said you wanted less filling and great taste. Right. So try to look at what you're trying to share and take the most important parts and ask yourself, can you make it steady? And if not, can you create it so it's steady? Create something. Doesn't exist yet. Steady, more trusted. So let me show you that in use. So I'm going to show you an example of, I used it, roof replacement. I took over a bankrupt company doing 600 million in sales, but had 850 million in debt. It was a disaster. They were 6 months from closing it down. Started with the same thing. What do people expect when they get their roof replaced? Weather protection from their home and a good warranty. Frankly, people thought to themselves, either A, as long as they're sober enough to get on my roof and not fall off, they're qualified, what's your best price? Or 2, I don't trust these people, how do I know who to trust? I said, okay, what wouldn't they expect? Might grab their interest and could make us different. And I found by accident, you know what? 90% of all roof replacements installed today, the day they're installed, the manufacturer's warranty is void. They think they got a lifetime shingle. They got no warranty. 9 out of 10 homes. And I realized 9 out of 10 homes have potential mold because of the way they build houses today, which puts families' health at risk. You would have no idea a roof system replacement could affect the family's health. And I also found that 9 out of 10 homes, by the way, you're seeing it's all for the same reason, have energy costs higher than if they think they bought a cheap roof. They actually bought a very expensive roof, but it's wasting money and energy. And all the reason why? Because they didn't get a comprehensive roof system. And most roofers don't even know how to do a comprehensive roof system. And comprehensive means it's both weather protection, but attic ventilation gets the warm, moist air out of the attic, which causes the top 3 things. Who's this for? Your entire family. Call to action, give you a free estimate. Up until then, people always bought, if you're sober enough to get on my roof, what's your price? So here's the 30-second or 2-minute version of what we did with that. Did you know what's the #1 cause of damage to your largest investment for your home? It's your roof. And the Better Business Bureau, expert opinion, recommends that you make sure you use an honest contractor installing quality material who provides a warranty you can trust. Well, the US government codes require attic ventilation as part of a quality roof system, but 90% of contractors fail to meet this requirement. Why would you care? Well, likely you and your neighbors have installed energy efficiency improvements. And therefore, with those energy efficiency improvements, that warm, moist air that used to leak out the home and wasted energy is now going up into the attic. And as a result, that warm, moist air going into the attic, 90% of all re-roofed homes unknowingly suffer from three major risks. Family health risk, because your attic creates now a recipe for mold. Energy risk, because scientists will demonstrate that 2% moisture drops the insulation effectiveness by third. Manufacturer warranty risk. It's void the day of installation because the system doesn't achieve code requirements. So, as a masterly certified contractor, we'll protect the investment in your home with a comprehensive roof system installed by a certified craftsman, utilizing the most highly rated products, and with a golden pledge warranty providing 100% protection and therefore peace of mind for as long as you own your home. So it'd be a privilege to install your roofing system. Unlike most contractors, we assure you have a warranty that isn't void, an attic system that won't put your family's health at risk, and with a recipe of mold, and you won't overspend on utility bills as a result of damaging the effectiveness of your insulation. Call now for a free estimate. Did you see how that translated this? And it took a $600 million company with $850 million debt and 6 months to live. Now it's a $6 billion company. If you take number one and number two and add them together, they're not as big as this company. Does that make sense? And you probably noticed, as I did, there were statistics in it. There were experts in it. There were analogies in it, recipe, right? They built it all in. It's just using, it's so simple, the STEADY acronym. All right, well, let's get into what it's going to take to build your elevator pitch. All right, so remember, starts with what are the expectations, then unexpected, and where does it fit, draft it, and you got to do it over and over again until it feels right. It takes several tries. Remember the customer journey. First have to be acceptable and grab their interest and demonstrate your difference and an action now. So here's the template I'm providing you, which is going to be sent to you. The first column is the what. What's their situation, their expected solution in the area of business you're in? The why. The experience the customer wants or needs that they want to, the experience that they want to avoid or gain. And three is, what's our difference? What do we do? And how do we achieve expectations? And you make a long list. And that's to be, top right-hand corner, acceptable. What they expect, you get ruled in, not ruled out, you'll be considered. And you go to what's the unexpected to grab their interest and what makes you different, unique, less problems or risks, and more gain and trust. So what's that unexpected situation? What's your promise, right? What a unique solution solves? And then the proof. How do you solve it? And then step three, who do you serve? Where do you serve? Geography. And why the call to action? And that's the 3 steps to do this. Simple steps. So I'm going to demonstrate it. I'm going to demonstrate it creating an example of a SCORE elevator pitch. So I step back, use this. I had to try it, see if it would work for you. What's the what? Well, I guess as most of you, your situation is, what do you expect? Your entrepreneurship, you own a small business, you plan on starting one. Issue is You need help with the challenges of getting up and going. Frankly, you don't have a lot of solutions, options that are either available or that you can afford. It's the why. You need. You need resources to relieve some of your anxieties and mentoring to help avoid common mistakes. And then this is a hypothesis. I put down, okay, what are our differences? Well, we're successful executives in the SCORE organization. We're volunteer mentors. There's 11,000 of us nationally. We have national resources, including the SBA. Okay, what's unexpected? 90% of small business fail. Two, SCORE doesn't charge you anything and there's no risk. What's the promise? You're not going to feel alone. We're going to help you prevent pitfalls. We're going to help you succeed. What's the proof? What's the difference? We're not focused on helping ourselves. We're focused on helping you. We're volunteers. We've been successful. I'm going to share that insight with you. We're giving back. We're retired. We do that through mentorship. I said, okay, who? It's local entrepreneurs and small business. Where? Central Florida. And why act now? We help you achieve your dreams. Does that make sense so far? You see how I'm using the template, right? I took that and I said, okay, let me try it using that template. Hi, I'm Dave Harrison, and I'm a volunteer for SCORE Mid-Florida. We're more than 11,000 successful retired executives that provide mentor service to local entrepreneurs and small business owners like you. Would you agree? Entrepreneurship can be exciting, but also overwhelming. Let me plug you into an extensive SCORE resources, help you with the challenges and growing pains. SCORE also enjoys the support and resources of the SBA. I promise SCORE can help you prevent pitfalls that cause up to 90% of entrepreneurs to fail. And there's no risk to you. The SCORE services are free. Simply, SCORE is not trying to build our business. SCORE is only committed to helping you build yours. You won't be alone on your journey. Our reward as volunteers is paying it forward. The support we enjoyed in our successful careers before we retired. For your convenience, let's talk about your business and discuss how we can help you achieve your dreams. What are your suggested next steps? And you see how that all came together. And then I took that and said, well, that's 30 seconds. Well, I need 30 seconds. No, I can pare this down. So I took this and then boiled it down. I'm Dave Harrison, a SCORE volunteer mentor. SCORE helps entrepreneurs and small business owners succeed. Entrepreneurs face tremendous and often overwhelming challenges. SCORE is world-class resource to help, and it's free. SCORE is a nonprofit with retired executives who volunteer as mentors. SCORE has workshops and online resources too. As a result, SCORE can help you prevent the common mistakes that cause up to 90% of entrepreneurs to fail. As a SCORE client, your business success is our focus. As a result, you'll not be alone on the journey. So Jasper, I see your comment. I feel bad about that. But if there's anything I can do to help, I do some clients, a lot of clients, frankly, I'll do long distance ones on Zoom or something like that. So, and I think most of the people I work with, I think feel the same way. Just sort of a summary of all this. Let me give you an example how I brought up my kids, and it's going to sound a little weird, but from first grade on, the first question at the dinner table was, who did you see that potentially might have a bad day? And what did you do about it? And here's why that was an every night conversation. Those boys better come with at least one story. Why did I do that? Because I recognized in life, you've got a God-given skill that you can help someone else's life. That's a privilege. And I found in business, if your definition of success is tied to money, you're always going to be a failure because you're always going to see friends and family, whatever, making more. If you wake up every day looking, who can I help? Your business career will take care of itself. It will, because people can tell when you're trying to help them. Remember, you're demonstrating care and respect when you're trying to help. Trust. 2, when you get in the practice of sharing why, you're helping create insight. Here are the 5 causes, potential causes of anything good or bad to happen. And here's some insight into that. Awesome. And 3, what drives behavior? It's helping them get what's in it for them. And that's what it's all about. So at the beginning, you agreed this would be successful if you gain insights, tools, and a draft of an elevator pitch, and you're going to get the recording with the PowerPoint, or you can even email me and I'll just send you just the PowerPoint too. Why? Elevator pitch is important. 2, difference between good and great communications. 3, templates for creating a great elevator pitch, or when you're actually building one. So was today successful for you? I hope it was. And let me show you the first page again. Some of you asking for my email address, and it is right here. It is David.Harrison at scorevolunteer.com. And if you like this presentation, I know Barry's got, Barry? We've got 4 or 5 more that I've developed and ready to present to SCORE when people are ready and want it. So we'll try to get that out to you. And I look forward to more of you joining us in the future, because I know I speak for Barry. I know I speak for the Central Florida group. Look, we just come every day. We got helped along the way. And it's a privilege to be able to help some of you. So thank you, everybody. And again, if I can help at all, if I can help at all, that's what we're here for. And just to let you know, there'll be evaluations coming. You're going to receive an email, asking for your thoughts. And it'd be awesome if you gave feedback, because the feedback, Barry will schedule me for more of these, and I enjoy doing them with you. Thank you, everybody. And Barry, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Thank you, David, and thank you, everyone, for attending. I dropped a link in the chat box where the recording will be found. If you registered through the Mid-Florida chapter, I'll send you an email. But if you registered through one of our sister chapters, I can't guarantee you get the email. So I just put the link right in the chat box there. It's at midflorida.score.org, and it's the /event/perfector elevator pitch. So it's the same link basically that you would have gone to use to register originally, but by sometime tomorrow, I should have the recording at that same link.
Okay, Barry, and I'm seeing a few in the chat box. They're not sure what the link is. If you can.
I will just grab that again.
Awesome.
Let me just grab that again and paste it in here.
And Barry, I think at least for me, this was a record. We had 76 people.
There were actually a lot more than that.
Really?
At times, yes.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you. And there's the link. Everyone see that? Barry just put it up. So it'll be posted there. Is that right, Barry? That's the link, and that's where it'll eventually be posted in the next few days.
Exactly right. Hopefully I'll have that up there tomorrow.
Okay. Again, thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you, David. Good night, everyone.